What is up, App Nation? It is your boy, Steve P. Young, founder of appmasters.com, the place you go when you want action-packed content related to helping you grow your app downloads and, more importantly, those revenues. And I want to thank you for joining me week in and week out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. And today, we're going to talk about a couple of different things I'm super excited to learn alongside with you. It's UGC content. So all that means is user-generated content and using that content as ads. And then I want to talk about how that's performing as opposed to hiring a big agency and paying tens of thousands of dollars for them to create a highly produced 4K beautiful videos and all that stuff. How are they outperforming those highly produced ones? Secondly, I want to talk about TikTok ads. And lastly, talk about push notifications. I think it's a great way to bring users back. And then my guest has some great case studies on how they've been able to help clients with some cool features with push notifications that I actually didn't know about. That's why I love doing the show. I get to learn alongside with you. And joining me today is Christian Eckhardt. He is the CEO and founder of Customlytics. There he is. Let me bring both of us. I'm screwing up everything. There he is. He is the CEO and co-founder of Customlytics, the leading full-stack mobile technology and marketing consultancy in Europe. Christian, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Welcome. Hey, how are you?
Here's your beautiful website here too.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Steve. I'm really excited for the show. Let's see if I can cope with your dad jokes. And yeah, we'd love to discuss all things mobile because this is what this is what we've been doing for our entire professional lives, at least. So yeah, really looking forward to that.
Same here. I think we can talk a lot of shop. We both have local app marketing agencies, so there's a lot that we can share together. All right, I want to say hi to a few people in the comments. We've got Yash, we've got Rassi, how's it going, man? And Fam, Fridays with App Masters, Christian, just so you know all the acronyms out there. And Ram, you launched a new app in 2 weeks. That's awesome, man. Sup, Grow. Cool. Notice that you just did an update, so congrats to that. All right, so Christian, let's start off with this. I mean, we talked about this, but UGC, user-generated content, like I guess before we get into the case study, how do we even get started with user-generated content? Because I feel like the hardest part is getting the actual users, or maybe it's somebody on your team, to create this content.
Yeah, that's actually the good part. I would actually, a good point, which is not very controversial. I would say the exact opposite. It's actually the easiest part to get started on user-generated content ads. If you want to do successful marketing on literally any of the modern digital social channels, you have to be a user anyways to understand it. You will never be good at doing, running ads there, running marketing there if you're not using the platform yourself as the marketing manager or as the designer who designs the ads for it. And if, that criteria is met, then you're a user, and that also means you will be able to generate content, and that's exactly what it's all about. So actually, that's the beauty, or at least that's how we always see it. That's the beauty of user-generated content ads, is that anybody can do them. You don't need an agency. You don't need your crazy nice, expensive studio to shoot it. You don't need, models and all those kind of things. For us, it's our designers starting to use their the smartphones that they have anyways. We film the stuff on iPhones, which is, as we all know, quite decent cameras anyways. So yeah, it's actually quite easy.
No, I like it. Is there a template that you guys have in terms of, hey, here's the flow, here's the storyboard, or is just literally like, what are the top 2-3 features? What's the template that you guys tend to follow?
Yeah, it's along the lines of what you already said. We think about what would be, our, like you said, what are USPs, what are the features that we think will resonate the most with the audience? Of course, also and always slightly depending on who's actually your target audience. And then you go out and essentially you film, yourself using the product, showing the features. That's what it's all about. So in the case study that we will maybe later look at with one of our clients, we share. It's an electric car sharing app from Volkswagen here in Berlin, and exactly this one. And the content is essentially all about what you can do with the cars. So going out to the green, all the nice forests here in Berlin, shopping, big stuff that would be super annoying to carry in public transport. And then, of course, this is the starting point, and then you can do so much more with it. What you can see in the middle here is the infamous FAQ. So you can even combine it with some community work even. And in this case, we started to collect the most frequent questions, and then we answered them in a nice video. So endless possibilities.
I want to talk about this middle one because I think this is the one. As I was reading through this case study, I recommend you guys going there. So all you got to do is go to Customlytics and then go to Learn, and then you can go to Case Studies and find it same there. But was this targeted to new users that haven't heard about WeShare too? Like, how are you using this particular ad for WeShare?
Yeah, in this case, it was. However, there were also then other variants of it where we, there was by that time, by this time, by now, we do have many more versions of it that also have different other, sub targets or sub audiences that we try to get with it. In the beginning, we started with the obvious one, which was more the user acquisition, new users kind of thing. But so this was the starting point, and then from there you can go into many different places.
All right, now that you have this user-generated content, it looks really cool, right? It's the same things that we might be seeing on Instagram, on TikTok, with some of the text up here, right here. And honestly, it is literally like that for certain clients too. It's literally like somebody taking the phone and be like, hey guys, and talking through it and be like, hey, this is how we do this and that. But talk to me about where you run these ads then. What's been the best performing network?
Yeah. So the particular examples here are all from TikTok. So we are running them on the TikTok channel, which I think, I don't have to explain so much about. I guess all the people in the audience will know about it or have heard about it. What I want to say here now that you're asking for it, is that it's very important that so the approach is not to take the exact same content, and even if it is user-generated, and put it on all the different platforms. It's really about us, thinking about the specialties of every platform. Sometimes it's the format. Sometimes it's just because the stuff that your friends and other organic users of the platform are sharing might be different across platforms, and then we would go there and try to make it as fitting as possible with the platform, because that's what it's all about. I think we've arrived at a point where we're using all these new social networks, and the big issue with traditional ads is that they don't fit the platforms. So if we accept this and start working on content that is actually fitting the platform, then why not go all in and really think twice or maybe 3 times about what is the nitty-gritty detail stuff that's different across the platforms, and then have it produced in the perfect way, because like we said, production costs for these are insanely low. So
just get out and do it. All right, so with TikTok, what about the attribution? How do we make sure that TikTok is a high performing channel? Are you doing anything from an attribution standpoint?
Yeah, so although we we didn't start with this topic, but actually the technical infrastructure is even, I would say, more our DNA or the core of our company than the pure advertising is. This is where we're coming from. The backstory to that is that my co-founder and I, Raul, we were working at Delivery Hero before starting the company here in Berlin already together. And we started in a time when mobile attribution didn't exist really, because apps barely existed by the time. And we were doing paid for the apps there, and we've realized that it was super inefficient because we didn't have any proper tracking. And that was like, I don't know, 10 years ago now. And this point, this realization has influenced us so much that we then on started a company with this where we focus on every client that comes in, we would first look at the tracking, and we would first make sure that everything's set up there, that they have an MMP, an attribution tracking tool like Adjust or Apps Flyer in place, and then we do any campaigns, not the other way around. And that also, of course, holds true for TikTok. TikTok right now is still using attribution on that's done on the attribution provider side, although it's server side. But yeah, so you do have tracking links. It's server side tracking though, but it's kind of almost a traditional setup, I have to say, these days, because everybody's now moving to self-attributing and but for now, it's still the traditional scenario. You create an adjust or AppsFire tracking link and put it behind the campaigns, and then, yeah.
Hey, my audience, sometimes they may not be able to afford I know AppsFlyer's got a free plan now. So for those who are just like starting out, AppsFlyer, you can get started for free, I believe. Just that's why I love the audience. They told me about it. I was like, I didn't know that. But for those, have you ever tried the iOS, especially on the iOS side of things? Like there's a campaign tracking. I think even Google has their UTM _campaign. Have you done anything with that being like, all right, if you don't have any attribution, here's how we're going to do it?
Yes, we have. However, our conclusion after trying many different things, and I guess also things that Google and Facebook didn't really like to see, our conclusion is that if you, for whatever reason, if you don't have an attribution tracking tool or you cannot afford one, then you should stick to the channels that are tracked automatically, because the owner of the advertising channel is also the operator of the operating system, as in it's Apple or Google. So without tracking, our recommendation would be Google App Campaigns on Android. Works without any additional tracking, of course, because they own both the
right
operating system and the advertising platform. And on Apple Search Ads, it's Search Ads. On iOS, I mean, it's Search Ads. So that's what we would stick to if you cannot afford or don't want to go down the route of an attribution tracking tool. And then also realistically, you can do a lot on these channels, and by that time you will also naturally already spend quite a bit, and then it's like, then you will be able to afford it. So yeah.
I love what you said there, Christian. Okay, this is why I love doing what I do, because I've been recommending that to most of my clients. I'm like, hey, Google for Google, and sometimes we're starting to do Google for iOS using Firebase attribution,
which is
and
possible,
so that's going okay. Yeah, so that's the way end round. But like what we've been saying is start with Apple Search Ads, start with Google Ads, kind of just what you said, and then move on to other things, because everybody wants to do so many things at once because they hear the latest buzzword, like what about this, what about that, and it's like, dude, have you exhausted these primary channels? Do you have that approach too, or what would you say?
Yeah, no, it's the same.
Okay.
It's always this. The other day, I don't know where I saw this. I have to look it up. It was in my LinkedIn feed. I forgot who posted this. Actually, nice new meme. This tip of the iceberg internet meme where there's something on top of the tip of the iceberg and then everything below the water. And the meme was that the tip of the iceberg was the client says, "Can we run a new channel?" And below the ice and below the water, it was like 100 things, like, oh, fix the tracking, try new creatives, and 5 other things. So this is pretty much our approach as well. Pretty much.
I like it. I'm trying to trying to go through your LinkedIn, see if you've liked it or something.
I will find it. I will
That's
look
a
it
good
up.
one.
I think I know who posted it, so maybe I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it. I will send you the link.
Okay. Cool. Hey, look, I think we are live. Okay, cool. Luke says, has it started yet? I've gotten the title screen still. You might try to refresh it, Luke. I think it's working. So you guys let us know in the comments if it's working, but I see it live and recording. Hey, Christian, one thing I want to mention is with TikTok ads, anything like best practice wise for new beginner out there, like I'm completely new on this. I've heard a lot of different people saying TikTok is working really well, especially with Facebook having its issues with IDFA and all that stuff. Any best practices that we should know with TikTok ads?
There are several things to keep in mind. I'm thinking about what we can talk about that's not too boring. Well, I mean, the first and obvious one, which we already kind of discussed, is get an attribution tracking in place of whatever shape or form, and make sure that your campaigns are tracked. If you don't track even basic stuff like the install, then obviously you will have a very hard time optimizing your campaigns. The same holds true for events that are further down the funnel. But this is if I keep repeating myself, I say this all the time, but yeah, tracking and data is key. So that's of course a very important one. The second top tip, maybe also obvious at this point, but I will happily talk about it again, is don't go to TikTok with the ads that you're using in other channels. Like, don't. Yes, I know you can upload whatever funny brand video that you have flying around that was produced 10 years ago, and this you think is still okay. But no, then you can also I don't know, give the money to some charity. That's a better investment then. So yeah, don't do that. Which I guess leads us to the third point, which is try to, when you start with TikTok, try to really get into it. Use it like I would say, golden rule, before you do any ads on TikTok, even if it's painful for yourself because you hate it, use the product for 2 weeks in a row, every day, at least an hour. If you can get through this, then and you still want to do TikTok ads by then, then you will have a decent understanding of the content that you will see there. And then after 2 weeks, try to come up with content that you think fits in there. And then I think you'll be doing quite all right.
All right, guys, we had some technical problems with this live stream. So that was part 1 of the live stream. And use the link up top or down below to see part 2, where we're going to break down best practices for TikTok targeting, push notifications, how to properly respond to App Store reviews, and the impact it makes on your app engagement. So definitely join us for part 2. All right, I'll see you on the next video.